everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be my March book haul, and I have so many titles to share with you guys. I am so excited to show you guys everything that I've accumulated in the last few months, mostly March. But before we get started, you guys already know the drill. Make sure to subscribe to my channel if you do enjoy these kind of videos. Also, go ahead and turn on notifications so you guys can be updated every single time I upload. And go ahead and follow me on all of my social medias, which is Instagram, and I will have my personal and my Bookstagram linked down below if you guys are interested. And with that being said, we can go ahead and get right into the video. Alright, so I actually have a lot of like new releases, and I also have a few books that I've just been meaning to get in the last few months. So I think we're actually going to get started with the new releases because those are always the most exciting. I'm not really going to go in chronological order because I can't even remember when these books came out or when I received them. So we are just gonna dive right in. Alright, so the first book that we have here is The Initial Insult by Mindy McGinnis. I've actually never read anything from this author, but it caught my eye because Karen McManus, who wrote One of Us is Lying, Two Can Keep a Secret, and The Cousins, blurbed it, and she's one of my favorite authors for YA thrillers. And she said, a ruthlessly compelling story of a friendship gone wrong, and it just caught my eye. So I went ahead and I picked it up. So essentially we are following two characters. It's a dual perspective told book. We are going to be following Tress and Felicity, who used to be best friends when they were younger. But one day Tress's parents disappeared tragically, and Felicity is the only person that was with them at the time, and so Tress believes that Felicity has the answers of where her parents went and what happened that night. And so we're sort of going to be following their storyline. I believe it's gonna go back into the past and then to the present. I'm not sure, but that's how I think it's going to be. So very interesting. I love these type of books where it's just like friendships gone wrong and stuff. So I'm excited to read this very soon. Next up, we have Every Single Lie by Rachel Vincent, another book that was blurbed by one of my favorite authors, Jennifer Lynn Barnes, who wrote The Inheritance Games, which was a 5 out of 5. But anyways, she said raw, real, and utterly gripping. And this is basically a story about Beckett. I think her name is Beckett, which is a really, Beckett. Oh, that's a really pretty name. And she is basically the town's black sheep, I would say. I don't know. Everybody spreads rumors about her. Her father passed away. Her boyfriend is keeping a secret from her. Just a bunch of rumors about her. And one day she actually finds a newborn baby in a gym bag. And everyone in town assumes that it's her baby. And no one believes her. It's just a lot of drama. And then we go into the secrets that are being kept in the town about her family. And so I just find it interesting. I will say I bought it because of the cover. I loved it, but I am excited to go ahead and pick this one up. Next up, we have The Project by Courtney Summers. And Courtney Summers is actually not one of my favorite authors. I didn't really enjoy Sadie. I know a lot of people did. I didn't, but anyways, I believe this book is about a cult. Two sisters. One of them is very invested in the cult, very brainwashed, and the other sister is getting herself involved inside of the cult in order to rescue the other sister, her sister. I don't know. I really enjoy books about cults, and I thought I would give this a try. Next one we have is The Castle School for Troubled Girls by Elisa Shimo. Sure. And this is basically about this rebellious girl. Well, she's rebellious because she's going through a lot of grief. She lost her best friend, and so she's given her parents a lot of trouble, and they decide to send her to this boarding school in Maine. And a lot of creepy things are happening in that school, and she is going to investigate what the school is hiding. So I just love these type of books. So that's that. The next book we have is If I Disappear by Elisa Jane Brazier. And can we just appreciate or acknowledge how beautiful this cover is? One of my favorite covers ever. And this was blurred by Samantha Downing, so I have high hopes for this book. And it is basically about this girl. Her name is Sarah, and she loves true crime podcast, and one of her favorite hosts of the podcast goes missing, and so she decides to take matters into her own hands and find the famous podcaster. And yeah, so another sort of mystery thriller type of book, which you guys know I love. Next up, we have The Girls Are All So Nice Here by Lori Elizabeth Flynn, and this seems like a very interesting book. I'm predicting it's gonna be a 5 out of 5. It deals basically with this girl going back to her high school or her college 10-year reunion. At this point, she's really made a life for herself. She just very content, and she goes back, but once she goes back, we find out that she did something in her freshman year that's coming back to bite her in the butt because people want revenge. And it's told in a dual timeline perspective, and I love that. I love going back and forward from the past to the present. I love that. And I don't know, you guys, there's just something about this book that makes me predict it will be a 5 out of 5. We shall see. This next book, Tell Me My Name by Amy Reed. I actually don't know anything about this book. I purely bought it because of the cover. It's just how it is with me. But I have seen that I think it's a loosely retelling of The Great Gatsby. I might be wrong. I'm not sure. That's just what I've heard. But we'll see. I think it's very pretty. I don't know when I will get the chance to read it, but we shall see. Then I got Influence by Sarah Shepard and Lilia Buckingham, which Sarah Shepard is the author of Pretty Little Liars, which I loved. And I don't know much about what this book's about. All I know is that whatever Sarah Shepard writes, I read. So, and the cover is fabulous. So that is that. And then we have the most exciting book of this whole haul probably, and it is Good Girl Bad Blood, and it's the sequel for, what is it called? A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. Yes, this is by Holly Jackson. As you guys know, I freaking loved that book. I gave it a 5 out of 5, and this is the sequel for it, and I've heard it's even better. So, oh my god, what is my life? I should be reading this book, but I'm not. But soon I will pick it up and I will let you guys know what I think. So that's that. Then we have Don't Tell a Soul by Kristen Miller, and this is kind of your typical ghost story. Girl wants a fresh start. Girl goes into a creepy town, into a haunted house, and stuff happens, okay? Typical, but I love these type of books, and yeah, I'm excited again to read it. How many times do I have to say excited? I obviously am, since I paid money for these, right? Right. This other book, The Dating Plan by Sarah Desai, was a book of the month. I think it was a January pick because I've skipped ever since then because the book choices have just not been for me. But anyways, this is about, what is it about? Fake dating. Yeah, I think she's being pressured into marriage. He's also being pressured by his family. They've known each other for a really long time, and they decide to trick their family and pretend they are dating. And we know how these end. So I'm actually really excited to read this. I feel like fake dating is a trope that I actually really enjoy. So yes. Next up is The X Talk by Rachel Lynn Solomon. And this book is also about fake dating. So we have two hosts who really dislike each other. They work at a radio station, and they're just like mortal enemies, I think. I don't know. They just dislike each other. And so they come up with this idea to do sort of an X Talk podcast. Not a podcast, a radio show. And the only slight problem is that they're not exes, so they pretend to be exes, and obviously that is where the fake dating comes into play, and obviously they're gonna end up liking each other. So interesting. This is an adult fiction, so adult romance, so I'm guessing it's gonna be steamy. So we'll see. Yeah. Okay, so the next book you guys have actually already seen in a wrap up, but I'm going to show you regardless because it goes with other books. So I ended up getting 3 of John Mars's books, and these are the ones that are kind of set in the future. I think he has other books, I'm not sure. So I ended up getting the one who, as we know, it's about finding your match or your soulmate through your DNA. So awesome book. I loved it, by the way. Then we have The Passengers, and then I got The Minders. I believe The Minders came out this month, so I'm actually currently reading it, so I have nothing to say yet. And yeah, so I got all of these. The Passengers is basically about futuristic cars that Tesla's basically. Yeah, so that is that, and I've actually read all of them. I'm in the Minders right now. I'm like halfway through it. Okay, what is next? We have My Lovely Wife by Samantha Downing, and I thought this book was just extremely interesting. I heard it from who? I think it's one of Books on Law's favorites book, I think, and also Gabby Reeds, I think, has talked about it. I'm not sure, but it's basically about this couple who finds their marriage. Okay, wait. Let me like rephrase this in my brain. It's about this couple who has found that their marriage is sort of stale now. It's sort of boring. They want a little bit of excitement into it, give it a little bit of life, and they decide that the best way to do that is to start murdering people together. So that's interesting. I'm excited for this one. The next book I have is The Sundown Motel by Simone St. James, also the author of The Broken Girls, which now I'm interested in that book. And this is one of those books, again, that is like a 5-star prediction of mine. It is also told in dual time perspectives, and I love that. I love, like I said, going from the past to the present. It's perfect for me. And so in this book, we're actually following, in the past, this young woman, late teens, early 20s, who finds a job at this motel, and she ends up disappearing. And then rewind a few years later, what is it, like 20 years later? Yeah, 30 years later, her niece starts working there, and she really wants to find out what happened to her aunt all those years back. So again, just sounds like something I will love. Then we have 2 books by Colleen Hoover. You guys know this is one of those authors that I feel is going to be one of my all-time favorite authors, but I haven't read anything from her, so how would I know? Intuition, I don't know. So I have Layla right here, which I believe it's about Layla, who is left fighting for her life after an accident, and then once she survives, her husband takes her to a vacation home. I don't know. Yeah, so Leeds whisks Layla away to the bed and breakfast where they first met. Once they arrive, Layla's behavior takes a bizarre turn, and that's just one of the many inexplicable occurrences. Feeling distant from Layla, Leeds soon finds solace in Willow, another guest of the B&B, with whom he forms a connection through their shared concerns. As his curiosity for Willow grows, his decision to help her find answers put him in direct conflict with Layla's well-being. Ooh. Leeds soon realizes he has to make a choice because he can't help both of them. But if he makes the wrong choice, it could be detrimental for all of them. So, I don't know. I like that. That sounds interesting. And then we have Verity, which is such a famous book here on BookTube as well as in Bookstagram that I just had to pick it up. And I'll just like read you guys. It's a very complicated story, so I'll just go ahead and read you guys the synopsis. It says, Lowen is a struggling writer on the brink of financial ruin when she accepts the job offer of a lifetime. Jeremy, husband of best-selling author Verity Crawford, has hired Lowen to complete the remaining books in successful series his injured wife is unable to finish. Lowen arrives at the Crawford home ready to sort through years of Verity's notes and outlines, hoping to find enough material to get her started. What Lowen doesn't expect to uncover in the chaotic office is an unfinished autobiography Verity never intended for anyone to read. Page after page of bone-chilling admissions, including Verity's recollection of the night their family was forever altered. Lowen decides to keep the manuscript hidden from Jeremy, knowing its contents would devastate the already grieving father. But as Lowen's feelings for Jeremy begin to intensify, she recognizes all the ways she could benefit if he were to read his wife's words. After all, no matter how devoted Jeremy is to his injured wife, a truth this horrifying would make it impossible for him to continue to love her. That sounds amazing. Just from the synopsis, that's a 5 out of 5. Am I right? I think I am. Then you guys know I got When No One Is Watching. I've already talked about this. This is basically a very important read about gentrification. A woman trying to find out where her neighbors are going. It's just an important read. I've made a video about it already. I think a wrap-up and what else? I've talked about it before, and this is by Alyssa Cole. So got that, and then I also got Grown by Tiffany D. Jackson, which I really want to read the rest of her books. I think it's Monday's Not Coming and Allegedly, and this is just, what is this about? It's kind of an R. Kelly loosely based story, I feel. It's just about grown men taking advantage of young teenage girls, and it's really important to read, but it's also very disturbing. So yeah. And then we have The Wrong Family by Taryn Fisher, and this is just about I hated this book. I've read it already, so you know what, we're not even gonna talk about it because I don't like it. It's about a 60-year-old woman who starts living with this family. The family has a secret. She starts meddling in the situation and just creates more chaos, and that's just where I'm gonna leave it at, because I wouldn't even recommend you reading it. Okay, I read it in 3 days, and those 3 days I want them back. I want 3 days of my life back because that book was ridiculous. All right, so that is basically it for, sorry I touched my hair so much. I recently got it cut and I got layers and stuff, and I haven't had layers in probably 5 or 6 years, so I feel weird. Okay, so I feel like I have to keep like messing with it. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this book haul. Book hauls are my favorite, and I actually have a ton of pre-orders coming in, so we will probably have another book haul very soon. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.